Hello, fellow viewers. This I will knock the video out of the subconscious nonsense and deception about alcohol, knock out sick associations. Under my last there were videos where I touched this potion and such letters in which they tried some people defend their bottle. And I wrote out the most striking idiocies, those in which those who use it believe. And now I'll sort this nonsense out and then you can send me link to this video for those who are the same and they think and say, I believe that with this video I will save at least a few lives and life. But the most important thing is that the video was watched by teenagers so that they never started in my life use this drug, protoplasmic poison and gene weapons which has already been practically destroyed Russian people. For everyone's joy, bastards. As always, I warn the vulnerable soul and the proud should not look beyond measure this video. I'll be rude. Claims about my rudeness is not accepted because my rudeness is overmatched by their stupidity. I will read the first letter, absolutely typical. There are many examples of such cases. Millions. This alone should do it for to become a normal person, well, let's say, such a dividing red line, after which the person will say, that's it, no there should be no person in life at all taken separately, nor the people as a whole of this abominations. Well, listen, I have an uncle I've been drinking a lot for the last 3 to 4 years. And I could drink 3 liters of vodka a day. Well, let it be so. Even if a person exaggerates, but it's clear that there are a lot. And you know yourself, how much do people often drink? And on at least a liter for a hangover. Besides, the whole he drank his life moderately and culturally, let's say so, and died at 38 years, 9 days back. This letter arrived recently. Will a lesson for him? No, this will not teach him a lesson. There won't be, because it's no longer there alive. He died at 38, yes, having stolen from yourself, well, there are at least 50 to 60 years life. Well, this should be a lesson become all living people for now. And the most it's funny that the relatives drank on funeral. Yes, it's terrible. It's horrible. And this is, of course, just idiocy. That is they, so to speak, saw him off the last path was the one from which he died. And, perhaps, and most likely, destroyed the lives of their children, their, wives. Because what is clear, what is it for the family alcohol? When an alcoholic gets drunk, the husband, father. That's the problem people most do not perceive. They are tired, overworked, overstressed, etc. They will talk nonsense, but it won't be the reason to name precisely the presence of this nasty thing alcohol. Oh yes, we need it right away, say, look at the truth, just a medical statement character. GSD of the 72nd year, what is alcohol called and what is it, a powerful drug? And look how the enemies of the people then changed the definition, wording alcohol. Alcohol is ethyl alcohol or, in other words, wine alcohol. This synonyms. But now here's the letter typical where a lot needs to be explained. Terrible idiocy. Andrei Smirnov writes, it seems to me that the author of the video, well, that is to say, I am too categorical, the man agrees with the points of verification. Yes, it doesn't matter what you agree with and what you don't, you disagree. This does not change the truth in any way. Will change. Just like my personal ones, here I'm talking about myself, my personal opinions, their desires don't matter at all before the truth. I'm just stating it. Yes, passionately, because I see how the country is being destroyed, just like mine is being destroyed. People have been killing themselves for a long time and someone rubs their palms. Well, that's it. The main thing against common sense is that in general, it is not for the life of a normal person. What is needed is what brings only destruction, death, destruction, suffering, and no benefit, naturally, no. An imaginary pleasure, but which people lie to themselves and others they disguise the benefits, measure, and other things they're nonsense. Well, let's talk about all this. Now, about all these statements of people idiotic which in fact turn out to be just tyranny. Here you go, let's. So, he agrees about smoking? Well, because, apparently, they don't smoke. There is no harm in alcohol, that's all, it doesn't matter at all because you're confusing things. I'm confused. How impudent. A person's self-esteem. I don't do anything, I'm confused. I never get confused. I'm like a robot. You confuse quality drinks with moonshine, with Boromatuka if consumed in excess. That is, it could even be a Barmatuka and pork can be consumed if not excessive, huh? Yeah. Quality drinks. Drinks are, for example, tea, cocoa, jelly, and so on. Alcohol, this is disgusting swill. And even if the bottle it costs $100,000 a piece, that's the same lousy swill as any other Barmatuka. The only difference is that in Barmatuka has some Savush oils and other, let's say, chemistry and small cleaning, degree there and so on. And in the most expensive elite wine of some kind there is that, by the way, they will write about it same. It's a cheap excuse, pycnogenol, some other useful ones substances. Well, I'll talk about this further directly. Let me explain about this human nonsense. So well, the alcohol won't be of good quality maybe because alcohol is drug. Because alcohol is protoplasmic poison which coagulates, as if sticking together, the red blood cells. Then blood clots form and people die from strokes, heart attacks. That is, not only die in terms of strokes, heart attacks, for example, from atherosclerosis or their cholesterol plaques having come off, but also from blockage of blood vessels, respectively, and with bunches of red blood cells. And I remind you that already 2 red blood cells stuck together through some microcapillaries in the body can't get through. So that's what will happen next. What? Ischemia, lack of oxygen in tissues and death. It's the same here. From people don't buy expensive quality alcohol, get drunk, don't kill each other, don't they start a knife fight, they don't throw it down children from some floor, they bring shashlik and buy wine. Not all vodka, for example, or cognac. And even, please, I'm not just talking about wine, you're talking about qualitative. And what about quality, in your opinion? In my opinion, maybe if not a barmatuka, sometimes cognac, sometimes some more stronger than wine. So, well, accordingly what we see is this picture when the husband and with my wife somewhere in nature sat alone or he ran over the children with his car, yes, some creature drove by at the stop, 7 people were killed immediately. And this happens by the thousands every day such cases. Domestic crime, it is almost all against the background of alcohol. Scumbags people become thieves and murderers. Well, almost everything, starting with the fact that drink for courage because bad business, clear conscience does not allow. Well, some fear, some conscience, yes, and so on. This is not clear. His alcohol is of high quality. Plunk, I just want to. That's why he's putting on airs. Not we need to build. Then it's one thing for him to drink a glass of quality dry wine at the table guild. Ah, well, that's where it all started. This means that this is romanticization abominations. It's another matter to get drunk every day. Well, that is to say, well, not everyone, yes? Yeah. To the point of begging, squealing everywhere a measure is needed. And the measure can be drugs? The measure of heroin, for example, heroin, cocaine, and other things so that you don't were named from such illegal drugs. This is illegal alcohol, unfortunately. It's legal, but it makes him a drug does not cease to be. Yes. Next comes the man with cognitive dissonance writes, alcohol, it's poison, no doubt about it. So what is it? You're an idiot. Do you drink? If you drink, well, schizophrenic then, that is, schizophrenia, when a person inflicts, well, more accurately, even a type of schizophrenia, masochism, when a person inflicts on himself, well, definite harm. Since the poison is undoubtedly it does harm, but it continues apply. That is, it is mental. Disorder, yes, but our body responds to it for some reason it works every day. I explained to such morons that the body, it produces a lot of things and other poisons, for example, cadvin, various patricins, cadaver translates as corpse, cadaveric poisons produces, and so on. Well, let's go this, give me hydrocyanic acid except something else. What an idiot. Or? Well, that's a cheap excuse. Well, is it really not clear that this is shameful? Speak? Because it is for the rational the slightest bit of a person looks obvious a cheap excuse to get drunk. Yes, alcohol is produced by humans in such tiny quantities that you get drunk you won't have that much because it's not it will be tasty because it is produced exactly that much. And in those intermediate biochemical reactions there are various enzymatic as a result their digestion and so on which are needed. The body needs a lot of things. The body itself knows what is needed and how much. Whatever you do eat, something will be produced, what you don't even know. And then you don't need this as an argument to justify drinking. Bring your own. Ah, well, it's cheap. Unworthy of a reasonable person, cheap stuff, enough already. That's why he concludes in small doses, wine can be too useful. Where did you provide proof? That wine can be useful, that ethyl alcohol is produced organism? This is not proof. What I just explained is what I want. That's probably why it's useful. Yes, that's it. It's nice to deceive yourself cheaply because that subconsciously any person he understands that it is harmful. He even writes consciously. But useful in what? That there is no evidence. Well, where's at least one? Proof that it can be useful? Wish. And desire is not proof. Well, and so on. Everything that is to be revealed is, in fact, led the person, that is, what sits in subconsciously because he wants to drink. Personally, a glass of wine doesn't do me any harm. Of course it does, because from, let's say 6g of alcohol up to a few tens of thousands of neurons of brain cells the brain dies irrevocably. I don't talk about genetics. Well, let's say academician Uglov wrote this clearly, and not only him. Well, and from 100 g of vodka more 100,000 neurons of brain cells dies. And when they open it, well, sometimes people in morgues who got into accidents there or for some other medical reasons for something to be explored, then, pathologists, anatomists see this picture. There are some statistics on this collection of data that was cited as an example Izdanov and other sobriologists. So, for example, when a person is cut open who used it on holidays, not alcoholic, I emphasize there are attacks, there are entire structures of the brain microscars, damage. Well, when already? Alcoholic, there are simply no pieces, they're fragments of the brain, and it stinks like the fumes of a drunk who had been drinking yesterday, today, that is, the next day. Yes, it doesn't harm him personally. It does harm, I just don't have any brains anymore. My grandfather lived several years in Georgia. Here it begins, this romanticization and this nonsense is about, so to speak, those who are long-lived the Caucasus drink wine. First of all, okay, I'll finish reading. In Georgia for several years, and he said that Georgians come to the table without the wines don't settle. And there were quite a few among them respectable people of age. Yes. Which ones? Which ones? 120 and 150 years, or what? There are 80, 90, 100. No, well, with others naturally, those who were equal to others could who drank to live 100 years and more earlier. Now there are no longer, of course, factors more harmful ones that kill a person earlier. Some could before, but in what condition? Vashia, the video came out, I re-released it, but republished about the long livers of Abkhazia. It was a book Soviet, one very interesting old one, a book where the author, I think, is a doctor, conducted a study and interviewed those who really lives long in terms of wine. And it turned out to be very interesting, an unsightly picture for you, and about that just, well, Abkhazia is also a wine, like you understand, grapes are no less than in Georgia, it may even be more. So it's completely natural here, and the research was very much on Abkhazia deep, when the long livers are different their nationalities, Abkhazians there, well, and the Russians who lived there clearly they said the same thing. That I was in my at age is much healthier and or, for example, already all relatives died or most of them are children, some when there are 115 years, someone 100. And so the grandmothers and grandfathers say, and what are they like, what physical shape are they in, and what about those who drink, sometimes even holidays. So it's always this picture is this, they live much less, diseases can no longer work, craving for life, to joy disappears no longer, such and so on, dependence. Well, naturally. So it's a lie, it is fairy tales, myths. Well, I'm not even talking about that most of the Caucasus, where Muslim traditions there, especially before, as you understand, it is not now, yes? But before, a father would have killed his son if he drank alcohol. Naturally, this is not the case was. Or remembered the same Mahmoud Ivazova, a Talash by nationality, well, like an Azerbaijani, yes. A book about him there is, a biographer, credibility absolute. By the way, he wrote to me after my video about him, son of the one who wrote about him. There was such a case there when, in my opinion, the chairman is there or there is the head of the regional committee, I don't remember, invited him and he had something on him, there was some wine on the table. So this is it, it's just that the wine stood like that. I was offended that he wrote about it later and told everyone. And he is very much about it. Was distressed and humiliated by the circumstances. Well, here's another one for you. Example. Yes, by the way, he lived 152 years. And this is known absolutely for certain, do you know what? No need for sick people now either, associations about passports, postscripts, right, because even though it was someone once, but it's meanness, and then, in the villages, excuse me, and this earlier, and especially all of each other they know. And they know from birth and they can deceive someone, it's, well, with you just you they won't know, yes. And that's not the point. It's just known why he lived even the second of his birth is so much. Well, minute is known because such was, in my opinion, Maslenikov is a doctor. And when the war was where he was born, they're Russian, I think from Persia, I don't remember. In general, the doctor-led diary, there was an earthquake then, which was recorded throughout Europe, that is, its direct day, hour known, minute. And then he delivered the baby. The mother of this very Mahmoud Ivazova. And when he died, it goes without saying the whole country knew. And so he lived 152 years for sure, yes. So that's it also, by the way, regarding the fact that I never say anything just like that. And that's all, what I say has no meaning attitude towards my desires, opinions. By the way, a person shouldn't have an opinion at all must. Do you know why? But even more so when nowadays under the opinion of every nonsense, they write their own wishes. Because opinion is a dash of desire and knowledge there should only be knowledge and that's all. Well, and so on. Anyway, I answered this to Andrei Smirnov. If he suddenly will be watch this video, I ask him right. Yeah, I looked here. Your comment, what you said about at this point, I realized that I was a fool. By the way, this is very high, let's say, level of achievement here is the human spirit if a person able to say that I was an idiot, stupid. Some people wrote to me like this, they found give yourself the courage to say this he really did give out his wishes for knowledge, truth there, and then further. That's all. Oh yeah, I need it here. It's natural to say, because for me it's so natural that I do it all the time I forget and someone there will start something to be smart. Okay, I'll warn you and say that I, for example, have never in my life I drank alcohol, not a gram, and that's at natural sobriety, and therefore completely different abilities of the brain and speed their reactions and everything else. Well, so be it, I would say that he has achieved a lot in life. But this, of course, someone will come up with other examples, but these examples need to be examined deeply and then it will be clear that there are no exceptions or practically none. Well, and some exceptions only confirm this. How they say the truth. Yes. And I'll say about the fact that, well, that means Georgia or whatever France, let's translate. Let's translate then, here I am stating the truth. There are some after all examples. This is about what it is naturally, they drink normally, tradition, especially for those who grow it. You know what I'm getting at now, I'll explain regarding Ergen and Posner. And he is this one the man writes further, everyone has their own vineyard, but not for compote, they grew their own grapes. There are simply no words. And here's about the fact that, and you don't realize that grapes you can eat, well, just this it's called a ripe tasty fruit, let's call it a berry, right? How is that it doesn't come to mind? What about juices? No juices. Don't come to mind. No, oh well, let's say there are no juices. But you can't sell it grapes and money? No. Somewhere in other cities, regions and on earn money from this. Doesn't come to mind? No. Only one thing, drink. Well, that's clear. So, Posner and Ergen somehow Europe, well, in general, in France we traveled and there was a report, it is in networks, all this is easy to find. I have it somewhere, even a fragment was shown in some other videos of yours. Well, in short, and they were there in the family, grapes, husband and wife, so average even young people, probably children. And they were shocked it's just too late. How are they? It turns out that yes, they do grow grapes, wine is made, yes, wine is made, and wine they themselves don't use it at all. And these are reasonable people, they understand that it's such a guilt. But it's really bad that they, understanding, kill others, that is sell this crap to others. Yes, by the way, about the Bible of Jesus Christ and wine. You are the same parable when he created wine, at least read what came this and what they gave to drink. This is the distributor, the weddings were given rotten, sour drinks, that is just alcoholic wine. And the fact that he created there was grape juice. Well, it's simple. Only a fool wouldn't understand this after reading it right. Just without desires drinking without the painful associations of wine as an alcoholic product, speaking about ancient names. And, so to speak, because in the Bible there is a provino in a positive and negative sense. And just think about what is in positive, what is it? And then business not in this. There is simply truth in that, you see, can be called or something in any way and to deceive someone anything but just the human mind impossible. We all know and see that causes wine or any other alcoholic beverages to people, separate family, people and so on. Millions ruin lives, abandoned children, poor, unhappy. And remember Dostoevsky, for one tear child, and here for millions of tears and millions of children. This is a terrible grief. This scary. This is a weapon of genocide. Because what, I will say, again, I will have to say what I said 100 times, you know that when a girl is born, here boy, okay, girl, she's got it all figured out, the eggs are formed. Not a single new one will not appear during life. They will be just go out. Cycle, well, let's not say, yes, it's all clear. So, every drop of alcohol drunk in life, girl, but it can harm, because alcohol is also universal fat solvent, then it damages, including cell membranes and very damages the egg cells themselves. Well, and it's easier, simpler, or rather, easier their various toxins penetrate and so say, carcinogens and other poisonous substances, and the shells protect the core from poisons. So, that's what alcohol is for certain, understandably, known, damaging a genetic information, leads to the birth of various deformities, there and mental and physical. And that's why those young wine holidays in 9 months after the debauchery, of course, which it occurs after drinking, and even before that it was both noticed and simply empirically, what is called, and people saw this holiday reason for wine. In some countries banned these celebrations because they saw how many freak, then more morons were born anyway further. So this is the bitter truth, that same life. Okay, next is the person. This same one writes about dope, about meat too the most. This is all this nonsense, all these templates which everyone has in their head, what is needed, etc. There. Well, I'll just say, watch my video called, in quotes, it is necessary to eat at least meat. This is now another one common nonsense when people justify their love of drinking. Well, there you go, cheap excuses, so to speak, on to say black and white. Here is an example. It is all clear that this is harmful. Here it's clear. And what do you do after that? If it's clear that it's harmful, you're a masochist and you will harm yourself, right? And he writes, and not every day. What? Not every day. Day what? And how stress headaches to shoot when there is poverty, life is dreary, I got it. Well, that's understandable, that's why calculation. This is what is being counted on, because Harvard Project Directive Alina Dalisa 21, this is the one that was accepted, I think it was in 46 or 40 in the 7th year, but after the Great Patriotic War, when he was the first became the president of the CIA. And how to destroy? Soviet Union? So black and white, it was said that we would, so say, to find traitors in the Union in the very beginning, how to corrupt, how through alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. Well, that's all. Alcohol is the main thing, weapons that can be destroyed. A person has conscience, reason, like some here, yes, and other higher ones, human feelings that guide their actions. They are all made so that people, first of all, it's the Russian people's turn, they will be hit first, and the main one, well, actually, they drank and degenerated.